How are you? Now, Eric, I don't have sound. I got it now. Okay.
I can't hear Eric either.
Are you getting it now?
No, I'm getting you.
Eric, we can't hear you.
Hello?
There he is. Okay.
Let's try this let's try this whole thing over again because this got screwed up, everybody. I apologize.
Okay.
Hello, and thank you for joining Massachusetts Beer Reviews with Michael Komaroff and Blue Nose Beer Reviews. New Belgium Brewing Company. I've been telling you about this beer and no one's heard about it. God dang it. Okay. Michael Komaroff has access to New Belgium. Blue Nose Beer Reviews in England does not, but American beer he has to examine with us tonight.
I wish I did, but I don't actually have the American beer.
He's got beer to examine with us. We enjoy the small company here today. So, Michael, what do you have to bring to this review?
I have their flagship beer, their Fat Tire Amber Ale, which is one I think everybody's probably tried. I mean, it's not.
I would think so.
It's a very well-known beer. And I do have another couple of the IPAs, but they're at the Beach Club, so it doesn't help.
Okay. Well, if you want to put that in a glass and
I will do that.
About that, because I screwed up royally on this review without my audio. And somehow people, I don't know if people were having a problem when I sent out the link to invite people, if they couldn't click on the link or what was happening with that.
Well, I came on your Google link because nothing came on the Facebook, Beer Talk 2018.
Interesting, because Harry has seen the link straight through Facebook.
Yeah, I got mine through the Beer Coalition group.
Interesting. All right.
So it's not on our regular Beer Talk, but I knew you were here anyway, so it didn't matter.
Strange. All right. I apologize for that little. Sometimes technology, folks, is a real, as we say in America, biatch. Just a little bit. So I sent this to John Anelli. I think he saw that I gave him the link. He's live now on Google Hangout, so maybe he'll show up. So I apologize.
He told me earlier that he had to work later than he normally does, so he might not make it.
Okay. That's cool.
What about Jay?
Not a clue.
Okay.
But,
and Tyler is now in the state of Washington, but he doesn't have his internet setup going yet.
Tyler Mansell from the Tyler Mansell channel of YouTube, everybody.
Right. And he moved from Wisconsin now to the Seattle area, 9 miles north of Seattle.
So he'll go from Wisconsin to Washington.
Yep.
Reviews, I guess. Maybe. But what's going on with some Fat Tire Amber Ale?
Okay, let's see. This is what the pour looks like. A lot of carbonation. Amber, would you say orange amber color?
Yeah.
Kind of a thin off-white head. Lacing is holding very, to the side. And you're getting some nice head retention on it. Pretty nice looking beer.
What do you got on aromas and mouthfeel and taste? Give us the full gamut, if you will.
The aroma is interesting. It really is not all that much there. It's kind of like a little grainy, if that
makes sense.
A little grainy. Let me take a sip.
Cheers. I'll do a re-review after you're done of my beer because nobody heard what I said, apparently.
Okay, the flavor. It has a nice flavor. Let's see how I would describe it. Kind of a malty flavor. Sweet. The malts are the lead taste in this.
Oh, we got a live little chat here from our live review here. Hello, everybody. John says that John Anelli says, "Hi guys, sorry I couldn't join live tonight. I love New Belgium beers. Good to see you here again. Harry, cheers, everyone." So he's not gonna. So our good buddy John Anelli will not be joining us this evening. When?
He usually comes, so it's sad that he's not joining us.
Anyways,
Okay.
to Fat Tire Ember Ale.
Okay, so like I said, the grainy nose and kind of a malty kind of front on the beer. It's very drinkable. I mean, it's not going to knock your socks off by any stretch of the imagination. It's a pretty typical amber ale. Nothing, average plus, I guess, is how I would say it. How it is. It's the taste is nice though. I mean, it's not bad. I think they've probably sold more of this beer than anything else in the history of the company.
Yeah, I think that's their.
It was their lead beer for a long time. Now they're coming up with a lot of other varieties. I think I told you before. Out of this 12-pack I had, there was a sour. It had the Abbey and the triple in it as well. It had this. It had a 1554 black lager, which was interesting. And the only IPA in that 12-pack was like a combination IPA. It wasn't the straight one that comes in some of the other 12-packs.
Yeah, they say on the website that after a trip to Europe, New Belgium's co-founder returned to Colorado from Belgium with a handful of ingredients and ideas. 2 years later, Fat Tire, named in honor of his inspired bike ride across the Belgium countryside, pedaled its way into the hearts of beer drinkers. All right, well, that's how that happened. Fat Tire's unique flavor profile originates from the late 1930s, where local Belgian brewers aimed to satisfy the taste of visiting British soldiers with English floral hops, subtle malt sweetness, and spicy fruity notes from Belgian yeast made for a balanced yet magical combination. So that's where that comes from.
Okay, I guess when I'm saying it's malty, I guess I'm actually probably tasting the Belgian yeast in combination with the malts. There's not much hop here. There has to be some.
It's 22 IBUs according to their website, with Willamette, Goldings, and Nugget hops, and House Ale yeast, Pale C60 Munich, and Victory malt. So they
5.2% alcohol by volume.
Correct.
Yeah, those hops don't really sound like they're going to give you too much.
I mean, they have to be there to balance the malts too. You can't just make a beer without having any hops. But they're not the star of the show like they are in IPAs and other beers. But they're there. There are hops in here. But I guess it's the Belgian malt and the Belgian. It has a Belgian influence now that I do think about it.
Yeah. So cool. We'll let you drink on that and sip on that. And I want to, before I try my whole beer review again, because no one heard, everybody saw me, no one heard me talk. Let's go straight to our good buddy across the pond, to Harry Meadows, Blue Nose Beer Reviews. What are you drinking this evening?
Good evening. I've got
morning, whichever one it is out there.
Early morning, doesn't really matter. I've got a can of beer from Buxton Brewery. I've got their In the Zone, which is a nice little table beer from them. Coming at 3.2% ABV, so super light and easy drinking, which is what I like. I really, really like table beers at the moment. I'm a big fan of them. I'm in fact possibly brewing one on Saturday if I can get the time. But yeah, it's just super light, pineapple, and pine. It's not the best from Buxton, but it's still nice. I had a table beer from a couple of days ago, which was far better than this, but it's pineapple-y, it's a little bit lemony, grapefruity, but it's just super splashable, and not bad at all. It's easy drinking, so all good.
Excellent. We will definitely come back to Michael Komarov, and we'll come back to Harry Meadows for final thoughts and grades on that beer. So let's try this again with my beer, because I was playing around with the new computer and audio settings and musical equipment with the computer, so I must have screwed up the audio settings. But once again, the beer that I have is the Voodoo Ranger, which is their IPA range. This one is their Juicy Haze IPA. Let's try this again. Yes, Juicy Haze IPA from New Belgium. It is 7.5% alcohol by volume. Was, I don't know, $2 American and change for the can. It is best. It's got a best buy on it because it says June 1st, 2018 on it, or July, I should say. 7.5 alcohol by volume. All the Voodoo Ranger series of beers, I believe, are brewed with spices. This one says same as always in the Voodoo Ranger series. India Pale Ale, brewed with spices. It says that right above the barcode over there. This, again, is 7.5% alcohol by volume. Here it is in the glass. 42 IBUs. I'm going to leave out the yeast strain they're using because it's very unique for an IPA, I think. Citra, Cascade, Centennial, Simcoe, Nugget, Pale, Wheat, C80, and Oats are your malts. Now, I say that I'll give you the aroma, then I'll explain that yeast. The aroma, well, here's the appearance. Definitely a dark orange, hazy kind of a color to it. It's got a little bit of yellow in it, but it's pretty orangey colored with a lot of really good head retention on it. And John and Nele is here. Hello. Oh, no, we have Jay Terrio, the other Jay in our community. Hello, sir.
We're both here.
Holy crap. You showed up.
Hi, John.
How did this happen? Wow. Hello.
Seeing John was a surprise. That's why.
All right, mind blown on that one. But back to Voodoo Ranger. You explain that to me in a minute. Back to Voodoo Ranger. It's got a lot of head retention and lots of good lacing. So here's the real kicker. They're using an American Hefeweizen ale yeast strain in a New England style IPA. And totally when you smell this beer, you get reminded of all things wit beer and all things Hefeweizen. It has a really big, strong wheat nose to it. It has those, for me, it's more like a Belgian wit beer, which kind of makes sense with the theme of the brewery. It has a lot of, it has a lot of coriander and nutmeg notes to it. Very spicy, very citric, fruity. And again, that ale yeast of that Hefeweizen is so in there. It's crazy. With tangerines, grapefruit, orange, and pineapple. With a little bit of the hoppy oil. Cheers. Yeah, this is like, I didn't say it the first time I tried without the audio, but this is literally like a wheat beer, but with the wheat, Gabriel Solea. It is definitely like a wheat beer with American New England IPA mixed all together. It has all those spices from wheat beers, has that wheat and oat element to it. It has the grapefruit, orange, and what's the other one? Pineapple in there. It's a pretty dry finishing beer. It's a little bit on the dank resinous side, and it's got a little bit more residual sweetness than you would like in an American style IPA or in a New England style IPA. So for them to try to create a true to style New England IPA, hazy, juicy beer, kind of they did it, but not really. They did their own thing with it. So that is a great thing to see that now brewers are even going against the grain on that. No pun intended to that brewery. Medium, very light medium beer. Very carbonated, nice crispness, and high drinkability. So far, so good. We'll get back to that later. I'll shut up now. John Anile just walked away with Jay Terrio live. Holy crap. That was unexpected right there, Michael Cormer.
I thought John definitely wasn't coming, and then he just kind of drifted in. You saw him first, and then Jay came in.
I'm like, what's going on here? What's going on here? That's confusing.
Hello.
Anyways,
We're back. What you grabbing here? You
got Jay on the hologram. All right.
Now Jay, he's here.
What are you drinking this evening from New Belgium?
This is why I wasn't gonna join. We went to the Braves game. Don't have a New Belgium beer, but I just cracked open a Sweetwater Berliner Weiss beer, which I've never had before.
Belgian theme. Oh, that's German themed. Close enough.
Yeah, it's not. No, so that's that's.
You gonna try the Sweetwater, Mr. J. Terrio?
Yes, a Berliner Weisse.
Give us the laydown on that beer. We're curious.
Well, I have an upcoming review with my daughter. She reviewed it with me. It's a Berliner Weisse with all kind of fruits, mango and all kind of various added fruit puree and fruit essence, right? And
it says mango, guava, and pineapple maybe on the label. I think it's 3 of them.
And we are so tired because we thought we were getting a good deal parking for $5 at the national park, but we didn't realize it was 2.5 miles walking up a hill. And I mean like a mountain. I said they should have put a sign, warning, you must walk up a mountain. And I didn't know that.
It's like in San Francisco.
Yeah, but it was worse. And then we went to the game and we got good cheap ticket prices, and then we had to go to liquor stores and buy a bunch of alcoholic products because that's how we operate.
Nice. Happy Wednesday.
But we would have joined the New Belgium if we had actually procured it. We really weren't going to join. I said it's just not practical. It's too much going on. But then John and Neil said, let's go see what they're doing. Let's go see what's going on. I said, well, hell, let's just join for a minute at least.
That's why when you both came on, it was such a shock.
Yeah.
I know we heard you talking about us. You said, John and Neil had to work late. And he was like, I didn't even work today. And then
I assumed that was the excuse. I didn't know what it was.
He said, Jay, I have no clue. And I was like, I'm going to give him a clue. So
this beer review is all over the place. When I started, my audio wasn't even working for the first 10 minutes. So I was reviewing.
We saw that. You were getting like somewhat perturbed.
Yeah, Harry was sitting there by himself, just like, what's going on?
I was messing around with this new computer trying to get some audio software to work properly, and I must have changed settings, and now this thing ain't set up as the microphone, and that kind of screwed me up. So anyways, here we are.
We just wanted to drop in and say hello.
Hello. Tell us about your Berliner Weisse.
Hello, Eric.
What's going on with this beer? Tell us. We want to hear all about this Berliner Weisse.
Oh, the one we're drinking?
Yeah, we want to hear it.
Well, this is my first time having it.
Not mine.
Yours is?
Well, I like it. It's kind of like a sour beer. Which I love the sour beers. I'm picking up the guava, a little mango. I mean, I'm getting the fruit in there. I thought it was going to be really hoppy because
it's changing. It's making them crazy. Oh,
Sweetwater makes a lot of hoppy beers, but this one is really sweet and tart and pleasant. It's right along the lines of the style that I like to drink.
It's a Berliner Weisse with added fruit.
Right.
So it's got like that tart, and then it's just a lot of fruit flavors. So I mean,
and I'm definitely picking up on the mango too, but I always see mango, like mango IPA, this, that, and the other. And Sweetwater makes a lot of IPAs and pale ale. So I was expecting it to be kind of a hot bomb with a little bit of sourness at the back end, but it's like a sour beer.
Oh, no. The IBUs are like a 10 or a 7.
Which they don't list, though.
Forget hoppiness. Wait a minute.
On the website, maybe.
No, I found, on the website, they got the IBUs very low. Well, I saw that Eric had the juicy. Yeah, I had that. And then Michael has the
Fat Tire.
Oh.
It's kind of generic for Michael Komaroff. He's usually bringing these super,
I was telling them
world-renowned craft beers. So
that I do have the IPAs of that same series, the Imperial and the regular, but it's at the beach. And I'm here.
Beach House.
Beach Club, that's right.
Harry has
we have a refrigerator there, too, where I keep like maybe a third of my beer.
Damn, all right. Sweet, cheers.
And Harry has
He has a table beer.
Good old table beer from Buxton in the zone.
table beer.
What do you mean table beer? Like over 14% out?
No, it's real.
Oh. Explain table beer, Harry.
It's like
table wine, but with beer?
Like a light ale, I suppose you'd call it. Something's super light ABV, so 3.2% ABV. And sessionable, all day sessionable pale ale.
Boom.
I drink an Anchor small beer. Anchor small.
I've heard a lot about table. I've heard a lot that when I think of the word table beers, I kind of think of not only just Belgian beers, but I think of saisons traditionally, not like these American versions or
the original ones,
where they're bigger ABV, where they're little ABVs like saisons used to be, and they just sit on the table. Where they just sit on the table, you can just drink them and with whatever you're doing, and not get the 14% like John was saying, and get smashed with it that way.
The 14, the farmhouse ales.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
meant for farmhouse workers that aren't going to be drinking beers to consume them for inebriation, but they're drinking them as refreshing styles of beer.
Because they're working out in the fields and they need liquid.
Yeah, man. So cool.
Well, all
right. We just wanted to let you know we weren't like ignoring your hangout. We just had all these activities and we were so tired from walking all these miles.
I had no clue if technology was even working on Facebook, so maybe I gotta get my act together or something. I don't know.
It worked out all right.
Jake, cool. Tyler is actually in the state of Washington.
Oh, he made it. He made it.
He sent me a text.
I watched his he did a review of Natty Daddy at some hotel, I guess, in between where he made a stop. And anyway,
like North Dakota or something.
All right. Well, we don't want to hold up the hangout.
John, I'll see you on Friday at Tyler's thing.
Absolutely, yeah, and I'll keep watching. So cheers, everybody, and I give the Berliner Weiss from Sweetwater an A-.
How about you?
Thanks for stopping by.
Well, you give it, Jake. Quickly.
I go along with that.
All right, sweet, cool.
Take care, guys.
All right. Cheers, guys. Have fun. We'll be watching.
Cheers.
Night.
That was
now. I didn't know that Jay was in Georgia, so that was a total shock.
Nobody knew that. They just, I guess they.
And that's why when you first saw John and Jay was in the same frame, you said,
"I'm like, I saw. Someone looked at letter J. I saw what? What's going on? I'm like, is this wrong? Oh, hi, Jay. But I know you're not drinking. I mean, what you're drinking is good beer, but I'm not expecting it to really change a lot over time. But what are you getting from Fat Tire right now after that last sip you took?
It's funny. You can, if you think about it, they are in the background. You do get a little bit of the hops too, but they're like, you know what I'm saying, when the hops are kind of in the background, so they're not really featured in this, but they're there. And I guess like we said, the Belgian yeast and the malts are the star of the beer. It's very smooth and it's goes down very nicely, and it's a good beer. I like it.
Do you have a rating in mind?
I'm going to give it an 87.
Okay. And I won't question.
You could ask what they could do to make it better. It would have to be more dynamic to get into the A range.
But do you think if they made that beer more dynamic, or in layman's terms, a little bit more complex, do you think that could potentially take away from what's been so successful about Fat Tire?
Maybe. And companies don't change their flagship, so they're going to keep making it like this. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, this type beer maybe could only get a B+ from me.
Yeah.
Just because of the style. But that's me. I mean, there are people who might say this is an A beer in the amber ale category.
Sure. Table beer. How's that going? Is it changing? I know it's only in the 3% range of alcohol, but is it changing? Anything going on? Where are you sitting in ratings? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, nothing much. I think I'm happy with it. I don't know how much I paid for it. About £4 or £5 for a can, which is a lot of money. But
a little bit.
But yeah, it's good, but it's definitely it's not the best they've done. It's super hoppy. The body is definitely not there. Sometimes with the table beer, I can find that they will bump up the body maybe with a little bit of lactose or some oats or something like that, so they kind of improve it. But they just haven't on this at all. And as a result, it's a little bit thin, a little bit watery, and the water profile isn't the best on it. It's definitely a little bit. Normally, I prefer it like drier, and it's just not for an IPA. like a pale ale, and it's just not fantastic, but it's okay. It's easy drinking enough. So yeah, would I buy again? Probably not, because of the price I paid for it and the fact that Buxton got so much other stuff better.
Does Buxton have good distribution in England as far as in different parts of the country?
Yeah, but the Buxton are pretty good on distro. I mean, because Buxton do a lot of work with Omnipollo, as you may have seen. So Buxton are really quite easy to get hold of. I mean, you can't pick them up in supermarkets or anything. Don't ever expect to get them in supermarkets ever. But
like specialty stores, like beer stores
shops.
and
like little bottle shops and stuff, like independent bottle shops, you'll definitely find them in. Online as well, they're big online, because their beers tend to be more kind of hype beers.
Oh yeah,
similar to what you get with like Stillwater and stuff like that. Hodgson Valley, for example, too, which we're starting to get a little bit of over here.
Gotcha.
Do they have any international distribution? I've never seen it here, but I mean, it doesn't mean it's not somewhere.
I can only say it would go through either the Mikkeller route or Omnipollo over there, and whomever Omnipollo. So as a result, it's probably going to be really expensive for you guys to buy it. And I'd say their darker stuff, if you do get the darker stuff rather than lighter stuff, because like pastry stouts and everything like that, they're really, really good at. Like Yellow Belly, that was brewed with them. And I think they did their Rocky Roads and all the other Omnipollo beers that look like little walking turds.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all really, really good. They come in about £10 for a 330, and they're all about 11, 12, 13% around that. Really, really nice imperial stouts. But yeah,
I would love to try some of that. That sounds really good.
Yeah, no, they are really, really good. They are really good. This is just possibly one like it's probably like one of the worst ones I've had from them, but it's still really good. The same, but yeah, it's not very. I was going to say, Eric, you know the bit you're on at the moment.
Yeah, Voodoo Ranger Juicy Haze IPA.
So I've been looking at it on Untapped, and it seems to be that like sometimes as you've got it, it's like mega hazy, and then other times it's like crystal clear. I don't know why that is. Do you know why that is?
Absolutely not. I don't know. Again, mine, and I bought this 2 weeks ago, 3 maybe. This says, again, best or the best buy is July 1st, 2018. So I guess July, June, maybe April, or at the end of March, this could have been potentially brewed if we're going off of the conventional wisdom of probably 90 days for IPAs for their freshness, or at least when it was canned. I don't know. I don't know if batch to batch this stuff varies. It could be if they're older, maybe the yeast is just not holding up very well, or whatever it is. For this particular beer in general, what I do appreciate about it a lot is that this is a step in a different. This is not a negative on any flavors, because this is a good beer. Not the best, I'm going to be honest with that, but it's a step in a different direction and trying to do something different with the style of New England or quote hazy IPAs. They're using that American Hefeweizen ale yeast, which isn't really American, is it? No. They're using the Hefeweizen ale yeast, which is giving it its own kind of a fruity, sort of bubble gummy thing you get from wheat beers. It definitely has a wheat element to it. And because the Voodoo Ranger series already has what they don't tell you on the website, it has spices. I'm guessing coriander and nutmeg, and could be cinnamon, but coriander and nutmeg, maybe allspice are like the big ones. There could be a little bit of like a black or like a white kind of a peppery note in there too. So those things combined with those juicy notes of, again, pineapple, mango, grapefruit, and oranges. I said peaches, yeah. And the other thing that strikes me about this is that there is some perceivable bitterness. It seems higher than 42. and it has some oiliness to it. So for that ale yeast and those spices to do what they're doing, mixed with the wheat malt, mixed with the oats, it's making it a very enjoyable beer, but a different drinking experience from your typical American style New England IPA, a la Trillium, Treehouse, you name it. I mean, my standard seems like it's been like a B plus forever on really, really good beer. So an 89, I'm going to give this one. Again, the only problem I have with this beer is how it's being marketed as a hazy, juicy beer. It's just a little different with that spice and that Hefeweizen yeast. Otherwise, good job commercially, New Belgium. Not bad. And it's really cool, before I shut up, it's really cool to see, even in England, I've heard, it's really cool to see hazy beers and hazy IPAs kind of getting some larger distribution into areas that don't have that kind of beer that is got that legendary status to it. So that's cool.
Yeah, just tipping on what you say about hazy beers, it was just amazing. The first time I ever saw like a brewery who was brave enough to actually try and sell a cloudy or hazy beer into a supermarket. Because generally, I always remember when I was brewing at Sill Hill, that if I was to do a hazy beer or something that wasn't fined completely, I would have been, well, that beer would have been returned and it had a little strike against me and stuff like that. And to have a brewery just have the balls to actually, you see it in the craft market, hazy beers have been around in the craft market since very, very early 2015, I'd say. And over here, and New England IPAs and things like that. But actually on the mainstream market, it's only really come in recently. And I can't remember which brewery it was now. I think there was another brewery who actually had the balls to release a Berliner Weiss onto a supermarket shelf, which was like completely unheard of. That was the London Beer Factory did that recently. But yeah, it just sounds fantastic. I'm intrigued as to why that beer seems to come up crystal clear sometimes, and then other times it's super mega hazy.
If you're drinking with people, though, who don't have very much experience with the New England style, what they first do when they see this in a blind tasting is they say that must be unfiltered. Because if you remember in other beers years before, that is the hazy look you would get in certain unfiltered beers. But it really doesn't have anything to do with that. I think it's just that's the style and the way they're brewing them now. It seems. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a brewer. So
in my experience with people that either I trust are kind of beer enthusiasts in some aspect, or really aren't in general, to the untrained person, this looks well, one that has much richer sediment in it. This does not really, although some sediment has caused it to look this way, and or spices probably. But what I was going to say there was, I think to the untrained person, when it comes to unfiltered beers, to see a beer that looks like this, people assume that there's something physically wrong inside of their beer, and they almost think that it's going to be borderline unsafe. I'm not supposed to drink that. Why is that in my beer? It's not supposed to be there. Trust me. You're going to thank me later when you drink it. All right. I'm not trying to tell you you're going to like IPAs, but you're going to, even wheat beers, Saisons, Belgian beers, you're going to thank me later if you drink it. Imagine a beer like this not having or having a high amount of filtration. I think the flavors would still be there. I think they would be by far muted if the filtration existed in the beer.
Could there be something to the bottle versus can effect? Because New Belgium, both bottles and cans. Mine's in a bottle. One of the things from Eric's series that I have, the other two are both in bottles. I don't know that's the reason.
I've not seen this particular beer. Maybe it's New England and where I live, and they think this is how to market it. Probably it is. I've never seen this in cans or in bottles. And I even went on that trip in April to San Francisco. And on the planes, I think it was American Airlines, they all have if you want a crafty beer, they all seem to have Voodoo Ranger IPA, which is just their, as Michael Cormick would say, straight IPA. And that's even still pretty good. So that gives me the basis for understanding what they call with spices added into the beer. So this one is, for me personally, there's a little bit more juicy, a little bit more drier dank notes, but not a whole bunch that would drive me to say, oh, juicy IPA, juicy haze. You got to buy that over Voodoo Ranger. I think they're I think they're basically interchangeable. I think this might be a little bit more, I'm guessing, I think this might be a little bit more easy drinking and easy going, even if it's higher ABV, but they're both really good commercial beers in the United States. And if you see it in England, why the hell not? Pick it up.
Yeah. What did you rate the Sam Adams Juicy IPA? Did you rate it about the same? Was that a B+ or was that an A?
I think I gave that the exact same score for different reasonings. I think in general, I would much rather drink the Sam Adams New England IPA over this one. But again, this one is so unique in a very awesome way. I would never imagine creating an American-style New England IPA with a Hefeweizen yeast strain. But when you think about the flavors of New England-style IPAs, and you think about what you're going to get out of the beer with those wheat beer elements and those juicy notes, it's a no-brainer that a Hefeweizen ale yeast might actually give you more of that in your beer. So that's kind of a unique twist on this style that I appreciate. Very nice. But the Sam Adams is by far more traditional to our New England style. So I wasn't able to ask that question before the viewers joined. I didn't ask it to John or Jay, but if they want to comment, please do. What was your thoughts and opinions going into our New Belgium examination, Michael Kormaroff, of the beer brand, and what do you think of it?
I actually think since they did open up the second brewery, they were already in Fort Collins, Colorado. They opened another brewery in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yep.
They have much more distribution than they had before, and I think they are trying to become a brewery that's getting into more styles and taking some chances on some of the things which maybe they wouldn't have done when they were just in Colorado. I was saying in that 12-pack there was a sour, and that won a beer tasting that I did last week on Thursday. It was very good, like a cellar sour, if you can imagine.
Okay.
Trying to make it similar to the way the Belgians do their sour,
like a kettle sour,
like a kettle sour, but using different blending in it. So I don't, it's not exactly like the Belgian blended ones, but it had more of a souring effect. It was like a kettle sour, but a little bit more complex. It was very good.
So
I think the New Belgium brand is a good one. Is a good company with a lot of diversified styles.
So you would compare them? Would you compare them to brands like we did Southern Tier, we've done Lagunitas, we've done, what did we do last week? I can't even remember. Avery Brewing Company. Would you compare it to brands, or even like a Brooklyn brewery? Would you compare it to brands like that are, at least in the United States, have some pretty good, have some very high range of distribution and have a lot of different, even Sam Adams, where they have a high distribution and a lot of different styles to offer? Would you compare New Belgium to that? Are they not as good as that? Are they just as good? Or are they a little bit better in your book than that?
Maybe you can compare them to a Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
Who has also a full line of different beers. And they're one of the originals in craft beer. They go way back.
Do you think,
something in that group.
Do you think, Harry, that really helps breweries in getting greater distribution in their countries or overseas, and having a portfolio of beers that aren't just stuck in one different style?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of different sites, as we're saying, having different sites for different and the scale, the ability to brew more. I think different styles as well. To an extent, I think you'll always see that your pales and your IPAs will sell a lot more than anything else. The American market is a bit weird because I seem to find that you have a lot more styles that sell over there. We have like some of your styles, just alt beers, for example.
Yeah,
I've seen quite a few breweries do them recently, and that's just a style that would never appear here. And it would appear, but rarely. And would it sell well? Probably not. Same as wheat beers as well. I think it's just climate difference with the southern states compared to the whole of the UK. I think the USA just seems to have a lot more different styles of beer, sells better than what we have over here. But a broader range is always better. But I'd say over here it wouldn't. It's very much regional as to what would sell best.
Yeah.
Is there anything, Harry, that you see in the future that could be a change in the beers that are available in the UK?
Great question.
I think I've noticed that table beers have got quite big over here recently. So I think 2016 was kind of like the year of the sour taking over. And everyone expected sours to become like as good as IPAs were. IPAs are still like the mainstay as the big beer that sells. People are still looking at the triple IPAs and the double IPAs, but more so double IPAs. That kind of evolved sort of year before last, so 2016. That kind of came about. Imperial stouts are still fairly big, but they don't sell quite as well these sort of months. They're more like the winter months, the long winter months that we have, that they sell super, super well. But table beers are definitely big. I'd like to see Saisons hitting it off a little bit more.
Yeah.
I could see Saisons coming about a little bit more. But the thing is that Saison, the company I'm working for, we have Saisons as a core beer. So we're trying to promote it a little bit more. It's a core beer for like 3-4 months of the year. And so in effect, it's a seasonal, but I'm actually going to be keeping it on anyway because it sells so well. So I'd like to see Saisons. I can see Saisons going that way of not quite as good as lagers, but we have it as a replacement for lager. If there's no lager left, just push people on Saison because it's a stepping stone for a lot of people.
Yeah, I found when I went to Canada. I went to Canada in 2015. Every brewery in Canada's got a Saison. I don't know what it is about Canada, but that's a damn good style. You must like Saisons, Michael Komarov. I
do. It's actually in the Belgian category, where I think there are a lot of Saisons as well. It's a strong
can be
performer in their market too, but they're a little bit lighter, a little bit less alcohol than some of the other Belgian styles, but it's a strong one. It's a good one. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just want to see the ABV of the Saison. I do. It is 5.5% is the Saison I do.
Okay. Because, like I say, in the United States, I think I said it a little bit earlier. In the United States, they tend to take styles, and I guess it's a cool thing. What I like to say is they take a traditional style in the United States and then they Americanize it. I don't want to say like they bastardized Saisons. That's not the point I'm trying to make, but certainly Saisons have gone from just being what Harry calls table beers to being 7%, 6%, 8%. Usually not much more than that, but I mean, American versions really get the craft beer treatment, which either can come out like a really great beer or can come off as, to a more experienced beer drinker, kind of come off as a novelty kind of thing where you can look at it and say, okay, especially if you were going to judge a beer like that, it might be a really good representation of all the beer styles. But when you look down to the nitty gritty of it, it's like, is this even sure, you created a beer. It's got all the notes and tasting profiles and the look and the smell of a really good Saison, but this kind of doesn't even This kind of goes against every premise that a saison and a farmhouse ale is trying to go for. So in that regard, I mean, maybe historically it wouldn't, a lot of saisons in the United States wouldn't do so well.
I still think the saison I brew is a little bit high ABV because I prefer something around about 4.2. We're kind of brewing to the more sort of slightly Americanized market of the saison being a slightly higher ABV, because I think I tend to see on the market that most saisons sell around, they don't sell very well, but they sell around 3.8 to 4.3. I think that's a general rule of beers over here. They will sell better if they're lower. If they're between about 3 to 4.5, they'll sell really, really well. Anything higher than that, you're starting to question it a little bit more. But it's one thing that our brewery does is we seem to sell beers that are higher ABV a lot.
How does your company go to the market? Is it mostly in kegs or is it bottled and canned?
So I do 4 kegs and 4 casks, so 50-50.
John is back. Hello.
But of what I sell, the kegs get killed so much more quickly.
Wow. I believe it.
It used to be 8 casks and 1 keg line, but now they've moved it to 4 cask, 4 keg.
You do a mild, yes?
I'm going to be doing a mild.
Right.
It's going to be a keg mild rather than a cask mild, because our cask is always stuck throughout the year. It's always the same stuff.
That's cool.
But then the keg stuff, I'm basically given an ABV and ABV style. That's it. Brew whatever else you want to that.
That's cool. I like that. Creative freedom.
And
he must trust you a little bit with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I mean, there's the company has 21 sites in the UK, so they're reasonably big.
Okay.
They're not. Yeah, they're not big kits that we have. They're only my kit is 400 liters, and I've got 4 fermenters, so it's not big at all. But my old place where I was 2,000 liters.
Wow.
So it's really good to be around because I've got more fermenters and more ability to play around with different beers and different styles. So my next beer that I'm brewing an APA, which is a 5.8% APA on either Friday or Saturday. And if I've got any time and a fermenter, I will be brewing my table beer, which will be a 3.3% table beer.
Would you ever consider doing an ESB?
Whoa.
That's me.
Yeah.
Mute me.
All right, we'll mute you. Yes, he asked if you would consider doing an ESB at your brewery.
I would do. I think it's more so something I'd do in the winter months. I actually want to do a strong ale as well. I really, really love strong ales and doppelbocks and things like that. But that's something more for the winter months because it seems to be, even though it's only like 20 degrees here, it feels really, really hot. And that's me saying that even though I've just come back from Turkey where it's been like 38 degrees every single day. But so it wouldn't sell too well. It will sell fairly well for the sort of traditional market, but we've got a light beer. We've got 3.6% sort of bitter for the more ready on the hamples. So in the later sort of winter months or autumnal months, I will be doing an ESB. I've had so many requests to do ESBs, and it's one of those styles that is very, very trad and probably I don't look at it too much in awe, but I just know it will sell very, very well. So I will be brewing one at some point in the future.
What's going on in the state of Georgia in the United States, John and Nelly?
Not much. Just wanted to join you guys and drink a beer. I thought you'd be off air by now, but it looks like you're still live, huh?
We're trying to keep the dialogue a little bit going since we had a little bit of a rocky start, but you definitely have helped out on keeping this thing lively and exciting. So kudos to you.
Well, wanted to support your channel.
Thank you.
I hate we didn't have time to get a new Belgian beer, but
what you got now?
I've never had Schlitz. Jay brought me a Schlitz, so
yeah, what, really? All right.
So I'm gonna crack this thing open and drink along with you guys.
Cool.
But yeah, on.
Not that like this is some magically like amazing beer of any kind, but even though that's a good beer in that style, but you even have the glassware to go with that bad boy.
I do.
It's courtesy of Jay, right?
No. I've had this for years. I bought it at an antique
beer yet. Wow.
Yes, this is the first time I've been able to fill it with the actual beer.
Yeah, that beer is you're gonna like that version of that style. Yeah, we literally, I think it was today or yesterday. I believe it was today. We just got Belgium Brewing Company beer in Massachusetts and in New England. I was like, holy crap! I seen this on Instagram on a page that showed up, and I'm like, holy crap! I got to go there after work. So I went after work, went to this local store. On the way home, it's called Wines and More. Yes, there is more than just wine at this store. And the guy's like, "Are you looking for this beer?" I'm like, "No, but I'm looking for this Bell's beer." He goes, "Oh, that beer? Okay, here, come with me." We go to the back room. He's like, "Which one do you want?" I'm like, Two-Hearted Ale, please." So I'm gonna crack open one of those in a little bit and see if that's hype or not. Because not only did we got New Belgium in the last 2 years. This is kind of still really new in New England, if you believe it. And then last, I don't know, what was it? The end of May, we got Cigar City. So far, so good. Now we got the Maduro Brown Ale. I'm looking forward to trying that. And now we have Bell's Brewing. So all they introduced so far was the Two-Hearted Ale, which is their American IPA. And I think it's called Oberon Ale. I think it's some kind of a wheat beer. So hopefully my thought is either A, we haven't missed the hype train and the beers are already overly hyped and they're old news, or we're getting beers that are legendary in the beer community for a reason and they're really good. I don't know which one. So far with the two beers I've had from Cigar City, Highlight is very good. This Gubayara Citra Pale Ale is So I have to try the Maduro Brown Ale, see if that's good. And hopefully Bell's is good. Again, hopefully the hype doesn't exceed, or hopefully at least the hype matches the taste of the beer. Is what I'm saying. How's Schlitz going?
Oh, it's good. It's different than I expected. It's more along the lines of like a pale lager. It's got a nice little hop bite to it. I'd be interested to know what type of hops they use. I don't know if they use pellet hops or if they use whatever, but whatever hop variety they use is working really well with this beer. I really enjoyed it. It's a damn shame that we don't get this here in Georgia.
You don't find that anywhere in your state of Georgia. Well, apparently Schlitz Brewing Company says on their website, schlitzbrewing.com, spring cleaning, check back soon. So, and it shows a guy with a mug and he's pouring Schlitz all over his face. Gross.
Which Jay informed me that the entire line of all the Pabst brands, their websites are all down like that. You could pull them up, but you can't click on anything. So.
Okay, well, you'll have to. Do you have a 4-pack of that beer?
6-pack? 6-pack of the 16-ounce cans. Yeah.
All right, maybe some point down the line, some information. I'm sure there's information on the internet. That's the beer that made Milwaukee famous. So I'm sure that we can get some information on that beer. But Michael Komarov went to use the phone. Instead of making this really, really, really long, we can go right off air and do whatever the hell we want. So, Michael Komarov gave, I'm trying to remember this. I think he said 87 for Fat Tire Amber Ale, which I like that beer. That's pretty good.
It's a pretty high score for him for that beer, because that's not typically a beer that he would drink. It's more along the lines of a macro Just doesn't have a lot of complexity to it like a lot of the IPAs and other crap, like the 6-point beers that he's been spoiled on for the last couple years.
He sees that beer as it could be a little bit more complex and bold, although I don't know if that beer became so complex and bold that people might, if the mass majority of people that drink that beer would stop buying it or not. Maybe they can make a variant where they can do an Imperial Fat Tire Amber Ale, or they could do something like that maybe. I gave Juicy Haze IPA a 89 out of 100. It's a really unique take on the American New England style IPA. So that's where I'm going to be on that. I like the uniqueness. It's not quite 100% the style. It does things to the style very well. It does a lot of different things with spices and a Hefeweizen yeast that are so unique that it makes it cool and interesting. Don't get me wrong, on 89, it is definitely bordering that world-class rating, but I don't think it's quite there yet. So, Bells, we're going to get there. New Belgium Brewing Company, for me, is just like Brooklyn Brewing Company. Avery might be a little bit better in my book, and Southern Tier is sort of similar, but not as good as New Belgium and Sam Adams, where they just have a giant portfolio and they just do a whole bunch of stuff. And like with those other breweries, if you can't find a beer that might suit your tastes from New Belgium Brewing Company, I would guess you're probably not a beer fan at all, because they have something that's going to suit your taste buds. These big breweries that have craft beers, that have big distributions, have things for everybody. I think that's why they get the distribution they do in America. And then like a Sierra Nevada that does get the distribution into England. That's a great example of a brewery that has so many different styles to choose from and a taste that's going to suit you. If you like Pilsners, Sierra Nevada now has Pilsners, so no excuse unless it's a price point problem with you guys. But yeah, New Belgium, very cool, very awesome. Next week is Summer Seasonals, a 2018 look at the Summer Seasonals. So if you get those kind of beers, join us here 7:30 New York time, PM, next Wednesday. This Friday is Tyler is still going to join us, and his channel is going to have sour beers, I believe. Is that right?
Oh boy.
I think he said sours. I could be wrong about that though.
I thought we already did sours, but maybe not.
We did sours on my beer channel. So we're going to do sours again.
I'm all for sours, so
we're going to go off air with the examination. Michael Komarov, Brooklyn, New York. Thank you. Jay and John, crazy. Thank you. Harry Meadows, as always, cool to see you all. Until next time, keep tasting those great beers. Cheers. We'll see you soon. Over and out.